Welcome to Planning Face Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This is episode number 35 for our Star Wars Unlimited podcast. And yes, we've got spoilers somehow. I don't know how, but we've got some spoilers that we're going to be talking about tonight. That FFG drop. I'm excited to talk a little bit about them and also a little curious as to some of their concept. We'll get more into that in a few minutes. We're also going to be talking about the first PQ that happened this week, going over some lists. And all of that fun jazz today. With that being said, let me bring in my co-host for tonight. Please welcome to the show, Mr. JJ. Stop wearing that hat because it's not benefiting your team for you to wear that hat, sir.
Yeah, after the way we played against the Saints this weekend, my goodness, it was just terrible, man. It feels like they're playing like how I play SWU, just terrible, and we never make the cut. So it's fine.
That's what it feels like some days. So
I know.
Hopefully you had a good weekend. Today I had a pretty good weekend. We had a pretty relaxed weekend. I had to take my nephew to hockey, so I didn't get to play much SWU this weekend at all. So there was a lot of hockey this weekend. Got to eat at a new restaurant in Kalamazoo that I'd never been to before, so that was kind of fun. I got a calzone, which is pretty good. But I don't know, my stomach probably didn't like the calzone very much. So it was a steak. It was like this weird steak calzone with like steak and candied bacon. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. And yeah, it was very, very filling. I'll tell you what, but they had like the best pizza sauce. Like I've like hands down that I've almost had. Like if it was a little bit spicier, it'd be the best pizza sauce ever. I like a little bit of spice to mine. But
oh yeah, me too, man. I'm always putting red pepper flakes on my pizza and stuff because I like the spice. I like that extra little bit of kick every time you take a bite, especially when it comes to like Italian meats like salami or pepperoni or sausage. Like just having that little bit of spice in there makes it so good, man. Yeah.
Well, and if you didn't notice, I shaved my beard down. So I don't know why. I just thought it time for a little bit of a change for a little bit. It grows
I'm surprised, man.
pretty fast.
Isn't that like your frost protector, like from the cold up there? Like
it is, it is. So we'll see how well that goes over. But we have like a thing we're going to next week for my sister-in-law, and I didn't want like the big bushy beard. I wanted something maintainable, and it's like I'm gonna have to start going back to work soon for in person. So like the long beard is fine, the ponytail was fine, but it was just like a lot of it just feels like maintenance that I'm gonna have to do in the morning when I get up. Like when I had a longer beard, I don't know what Alex does for maintenance, but like when you shower, you have to like wash it with like special conditioner and stuff, and then I gotta blow it out or like use a special comb for it. And it just is like if I'm gonna have to go in the office a couple times a week, no way in heck do I want to. I don't want to do this. Like, thank you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we got some pretty cool spoilers that we're gonna get into this week. We also got the PQ. Like we're gonna talk a little bit about PQ because they had one. Alex will not be here. He was actually at PAX this weekend and hopefully scoring us some interviews. And he played some X-Wing, ironically enough, and ended up in the top 4. So X-Wing is not dead, folks. It's still alive and kicking. We'll have we'll probably do another X-Wing episode and go over some lists and stuff like that and preps for Worlds at least twice before Worlds comes up here. Gigi, did you secure your Worlds lodging yet?
Actually, no. I'm actually looking to stay at the hotel where they're actually doing Worlds there. But I haven't found a room as of yet. I'm actually looking for a driver as well to help me make that long drive out to Milwaukee. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, definitely getting that work done. I've had severe FOMO this weekend from PAX because so many people that I know have went over there. Not to mention, not only for SWU and for X-Wing, but BattleTech, which I've been getting into as of late, also had a random secret release for a new lance that they did over at PAX. And I'm like, all the stuff has happened this weekend. And then on top of that, the surprise drop for all the new cards for SWU that came out this week. It's such a big week for all these games that came out there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with that. I know we've got like some time before Adepticon happens and all of that jazz and stuff like that. So I don't know. Hopefully, you'll be able to make it out to some of those things. Are you thinking of going to SWU going to Worlds for SWU in Las Vegas this year? or next year,
No,
I
I
guess.
definitely won't make it to Vegas this year. I unfortunately I'm already booked for that weekend for some family stuff here. But hopefully next year. But I'm definitely planning to head out to Milwaukee in March, and then also hitting the Richmond Open for the last scheduled GT coming up in May. So yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, why don't we get into our Galactic Gazette and let's go over some spoilers. All right. Oh my gosh. What is that? Like, is this new? Like, is this a new game? I don't know what this. Oh, that's Destiny. So tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about set 4, Jump to Lightspeed, right? And we're going to be talking about it because that's like the new set coming out for Star Wars Unlimited in March. Now, here's the funny thing. When we played Destiny, we had the ability to pilot like vehicles. Like it was a thing. So I thought it would be kind of funny because, like here you have a Hera, right? Which my prediction is we're gonna get Hera. That's my prediction is we're gonna get another Hera, and she's gonna be some sort of a pilot because that's like her thing, right? I mean, if you watch Rebels, she's very big in Rebels. She shows up in Ahsoka, yada yada yada. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. But um essentially the way piloting worked in Destiny is you just would activate your character and then you'd be able to activate one of your vehicles and claim your character was piloting, right? Um so like there's a bunch of different like ambushing options and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I thought because we predicted this was going to happen. We predicted we were going to get some space leaders. They're doing it differently though than what I originally thought. So before we actually reveal any of the spoilers, which we're going to do, I promise. JJ, what is your initial high level thoughts without giving too much away on like what do you feel about the leaders jumping into space and all of that fancy stuff?
I think it's great, actually. We got to see a little bit of a preview of this with the last set with General Grievous and his bike, right? You have a particular vehicle that's designated for that particular unit. Of course, the General Grievous leader can be used either by the leader or by the ground unit that's available, but it gets a bonus for being used for that way. Now, seeing it flipped on the other side, having the vehicles get a bonus from the leader that's occupying on it is really interesting to see. Just because you have two options, you can either deploy it as a regular leader or you can deploy it as essentially like an upgrade onto that particular unit, making it like a leader vehicle unit. So it offers a lot of flexibility, offers a lot of new tactics now that you can do with this. And it's going to be really great to see all the different things that they can. All the design space that they can now use with these vehicles on there. I especially with some of the leaders that we know that have piloted multiple different ships on there, namely like Sabine Wren or like Harrison Dula, being able to see those types of leaders take advantage of multiple types of vehicles that they occupy will be really interesting to see for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of it will depend, on who we get and how we get it and all that other stuff. Well, let's just dive into it because the way, and they have a spoiler article that we have linked in the description. You're welcome to go check that out. The way that these leaders work is once they activate, you can use them as an upgrade to a vehicle, or you can go ahead and deploy them as a normal leader. Now, for example, Boba Fett here, when he deploys as just a unit, a leader unit, he gets nothing special. He's just a 4/7 that comes out on 6 resources. Asajj Ventress gets grit here, right? So she at least has a little bit of something in her text box. But essentially, these leaders are designed to attach to vehicles, which is a little scary, right? Because we have things called confiscate and disabling Fang Fighter and power failure that can defeat your leader.
Yeah.
That was officially confirmed. You can still use confiscate and you can use it. So my assumption is, and this is just me saying FFG wouldn't be silly enough to create cards that are unplayable, leaders that are that unplayable. Like we aren't going to see that, right? But maybe we will. I don't know. But I don't believe we're going to see this. So my assumption is we're going to get some vehicles that will kind of help you not lose your leader right away. We did see And this is kind of why I liked this game a little bit, is because we did see the ability to have your leader just taken down by Rivals Fall, right? Like we had not seen that before. Rivals Fall came out in set 2, and it was something that was a great addition because it allowed for you to not just basically have a leader that never could die for the most part.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's the idea behind this, is it has to be the same thing. But JJ, do you want Boba Fett or do you want Asajj? Which one would you like?
I'll take a Asajj.
All right.
So this Asajj comes in as a blue aspect and villainy aspect leader. The card reach action exhausts this unit, deal 1 damage to a friendly unit. If you deal 1 damage to an enemy unit in the same arena. And then this deploys at 6 resources. The leader unit is a 4/6 with grit. And as a attachment, it says attached unit is a leader unit. It gains grit, and on attack, you may deal 1 damage to a friendly unit. If you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit in the same arena, and it gives it a +3/+4 if it's attached as a leader unit to a vehicle or to a friendly unit. So it's definitely pretty strong. It kind of feels kind of similar in the same vein to me as Kira almost. Just being able to give a damage, except that instead of gaining a shield, you're pinging an enemy out there. Definitely very useful when you're dealing with those cheap units like those battle droid tokens, or dealing with that 5 attack 1 health attack platform that you could just kill immediately that way. If you put this on a really strong like chassis, let's say the TIE Phantom, for instance, that can't like be dealt damage indirectly through cards and stuff. I feel like that would be pretty strong, and especially if you have units that have grit on your side or come with shields, you can power up that unit and or defeat a shield in exchange for dealing damage to one of your units there. Asajj definitely is going to see some play. There's some decks that already exist that I think would work well for Asajj, so I think that she's going to be a strong leader that we're going to see right off the bat.
Yeah. And the way, it's funny because, like the deal 1 damage to a friendly unit, if you do deal 1 damage to an enemy unit, like that's kind of like it doesn't ready your unit like we have with Grand Inquisitor, but it does allow her to like do like subtle ping damage, right?
Yeah,
And when you deploy her as, a leader upgrade, I guess is what we're gonna call it, a leader upgrade. I think that's how we
yeah,
would say that, right?
yeah.
Um,
I
you
think
can
so.
you can only do it to vehicles that, do not have um leader or pilots already attached to them, which what that tells me, and we'll see this in a few minutes, is that we're going to get other pilots in the cards. So it's going to become a thing. And then space is going to become super crazy because if you don't have something to deal with the space units, what are you going to do? Like, so hopefully this set is going to give space units to everything, is what we're hoping. Because I think it would be very hard if like otherwise, like, I mean, you got to think, okay, First Light comes out on 7. So you could run a blue green deck rampant, not flip Asajj until you bring First Light out. You can drop First Light, bring her out on it. Um, and then like it does, you can activate it with a grit. So it's now going to be a 4/7, and then it's going to be a 7/11 with grit, which is just crazy. Like that's just going to be
That's a monster
just
right
insane.
there, man.
Um,
Yeah.
so the other thing that I've noticed too is like the big thing here we have is the way these leaders are is they when they come out attached to a unit, you have to be very particular in what unit you're putting out there, right? Because let's say you have a space unit you already attacked with, you bring
Mhm.
that leader out as an attachment, it doesn't get to activate like we've seen before.
Yeah.
So it does not immediately come out and attack. Now, I will tell you, I have been playing some Chancellor Palpatine. Um, So I've been playing without a leader a little bit, and it's a lot more scary. But like I will tell you, your churn goes by a lot faster, and you're focused more directly on your units that you're playing, right? So you're not focusing on your leader, what your leader can do for you. You're focusing on what your units you're playing. So being able to play without like this all powerful leader that sits there as a separate unit on the board isn't the end of the world. But cards like Power of the Dark Side and, I don't know, what's another one? like Fang Fighters and all these other things are going to
Yeah.
become very helpful in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I am definitely interested to see how cards that I haven't seen much play, like Wedge Antilles, for instance, are gonna help this, right? Because you're buffing friendly vehicles, at least for light side, and you can essentially set up your vehicle that you're going to deploy your leader on to be extra buffed on there.
Exactly.
So it's going to be really really interesting to see all the new stuff that comes out. The other thing that I think would be really good too is triple dark raid. Sure, it'll last you a turn, but you're deploying a platform for your leader to be deployed on, and if you play it on the right time, you could potentially do a very big swing, maybe a game-ending swing against your opponent if they're not prepared for it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, the other thing is it looks like we're gonna still keep all these keywords, right?
Yeah.
So, um, you're going to get the force. So, like, you're gonna have now force units. What vehicle do you think Asajj is gonna come with? That's what I want to know, JJ. Which one of her vehicles do you think we're gonna get in this set?
I'm hoping it's a upgraded Shadowcaster or like a Lancer class pursuit craft. Like that would be awesome to see her on.
Yeah, so we'll see. Because what's it? Well, I don't remember the name of her other ship, but she has that weird like wingy spaceship too, or whatever.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
looks like a
Yeah.
fish. Like we could see that one too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
You know what I want? I want a Darth Maul that I could put on a scimitar. Ugh.
Oh yeah, it's a scimitar. Yeah, man.
Mm. So, all right, let's move on to our next one. We have a Boba Fett leader. I believe this is going to be starter pack. This is, or I guess they're not going to call them starter packs anymore. That's a whole nother thing that we'll get into a little bit later tonight. But they're not going to call them starter packs. They are, going to be specialized packs though. But Boba Fett is going to be the one of the leaders in that pack, and essentially his leader side says when you deal non-combat damage, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal one indirect damage to a player. So, what does this mean? This now means we now have things specifically keyworded called indirect damage, which we did not have before, technically speaking. And so, what indirect damage is, that player will assign one unpreventable damage among their bases and units. If you watch their stream, you want to know the craziest thing that they said? Does it affect shields? It goes through the shield. The
Yeah.
shield still remains. You don't. It's not like Saboteur where it disappears. But if your unit has one health but has a shield on it, you could do an indirect damage and still kill it. Um, so
Yeah.
that's actually
Crazy.
really neat, and that's a lot different than what we had in Destiny. The way it worked in Destiny is you would deal the indirect damage all individually. So, like, if they had a shield, only one could be absorbed by the shield. And I'm a little surprised we didn't go back to that. But this works too. Like, that's fine with me. Like, where's my Ewoks so I can just do nothing but indirect damage to everything? That's what I'm going to be playing. We get Ewoks this set. We get flying Ewoks. Gonna love it.
Especially if we could put them on the speeder.
Yeah, put them on little speeders. Oh, give
An
me some Ewok.
AT-AT.
Give me yeah. If your Ewok pilots an AT-AT, it gets plus 20 just because that's crazy. You have to roll a dice. You must roll a dice to determine if they can take over the AT-AT. There you go. It must have a,
That'd be
a
great.
check higher than 15 to be able to control an AT-AT. Oh man. All right, I feel like I need to go back and change the artwork for the show to the Ewok and AT-AT. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, right.
Somebody make that for me. That'll be I'll change it if somebody makes that for me. All right, anyway, so his leader unit side essentially is blank except for if you attach him to a vehicle, you can deal up to 4 damage when deployed as an upgrade, divided as you choose among any number of units. So it's kind of like a
Open fire.
individualized open fire, yeah. And he gets plus
Mhm.
4 plus 4. Um I think the neat thing is when you attach him, he's not the 4-7 health. He's just adding 4 health. So thank God they didn't go, let me give 7 extra health to this, unit here. That would just be crazy. Could you imagine putting him on like a Fett's fire spray, and if it had Boba's 7 health
Yeah.
plus its native 6, it'd be like 13
Yeah.
health. You never kill that thing.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, when I look at Boba, like I want to be aggressive as possible with this leader, right? Because you get to deploy him and he kind of works like a wrecker, right? He comes in and bam, does 4 damage. I would like to put it on a vehicle that would have overwhelm on top of it, right? So that way you can do the maximum amount of damage and go straight through the base in case somebody has like a sentinel or on there. It would be really nice to have that as an option, especially if you can also put out overwhelming barrage on the same turn as well for this one. I think that there'll be a lot of uses for this boba. Definitely, we'll see a lot of play just because it does allow for very aggressive play. And if your opponent can't keep up with the amount of damage that you're outputting, you're gonna win games fast.
Yeah. I see this paired like with the ECL base, or you could even go with that yellow base. That is when your leaders deploy, you get +1, the 26 health base. I kind of see that
Yeah.
one as being beneficial, though we'll have to get a clarification because technically this is an upgrade. It is a leader upgrade, so I don't know how that's gonna I don't know how that's gonna work. But if the bases that give you the +1 on each side or whatever do affect this, so then Bobo would think about it. Bobo, whatever he attaches to, so you put him on a Ruthless Raider, it's now a 8-10. Plus, it would have the +1, so it's now a 9-10. Plus, he's gonna do the 4 damage to something, right? Like, just crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man, I didn't even think of Ruthless Raider. Jeez, that's great.
mhm, yeah. All right, let's move on to our last leader, JJ. It's the infamous "Don't ever tell me the odds" guy. What is his name? And
Yeah.
I hope his showcase is like
Yes.
some childish looking one, just so that it's like him, not him. Like it cannot be like the one we already have. It has to be completely different.
Yeah, and actually love the subtext on this one here. So we got the return of Han Solo. This is our third version of Han that we got here, and he reads: "Action, exhaust this card, reveal the top card of your deck, then attack with a unit. If the reveal card and that unit have different odd costs, that unit gets +1 for this attack. But he deploys on a 5 cost, and he is a 3/7, and then when deployed as an attached leader unit." When deployed as an upgrade for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost, ready a resource, and he gives it a +3 and +4. So right off the bat, he doesn't feel as strong as the other versions of Han, mainly because you have to ensure that you build your deck with odd cost cards just to get the maximum benefit on there. Um, Kind of interesting. I suppose that we're gonna see a dark side version of this that's going to be like even cost, I would assume, just so they can have some type of balance and the force somehow. It's an interesting way to build out a particular like deck that way. Um, I don't feel this is going to be something that's going to be top tier like for the previous two cards that we see. It will really depend on the cards that come out for this particular set to see if it really benefits Han to build out a good list for him. But we'll see. It still feels like the weaker out of the three leaders so far.
Yeah. And I think it depends. I mean, you got to think he's going to come out on 5. He's going to be able to have the same double yellow build if you really want a double yellow build with him. He doesn't lose that cunning aspect. So like, I don't know. I do not like the fact that he doesn't have the subtext on him, like kind of like just like Boba Fett doesn't. But at the exact
Yeah.
same time, I do like the idea of building odd costs around him. Like I think that's kind of fun. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. I agree with you. He definitely feels a little bit less amazing, I guess, than we had before. So
Yeah, like honestly, I think like this is a card I would consider bringing in like a lot more smuggle cards just so you have different options if you start like running out of like cards that you can really use, just so you can have that available to you and like take advantage of his ability if you need to later on. But honestly, like that restriction of building odd cost cards, I mean, yes, there are cards at odd cost that can be very good. And you have the potential to have a pretty big turn from when he comes out, assuming that you're able to get all of the cards, all of your resources readied when you deploy him. But that's a very big ask. So yeah.
so here's the even funnier thing. Bamboozled is a heroic yellow card, right? And Bamboozled is the one that exhausts the unit and then like returns each upgrade. Like you could bamboozle Han now. Like you can now bamboozle him. Like I don't. I don't.
Yes.
I'm still not 100% sold on this. On these on the space how they're deploying the space leaders, but at the same token, um, we'll see. I'm not upset by it, and I think if as long as we see a few ships that come out that make it a little bit harder to kill, I mean, like lurking TIE Phantom right now is like Asajj on a lurking TIE Phantom, like seems pretty good. Not that she
Yeah.
could do damage to herself without dying, but like it just allowing her to be on a ship that you have to shoot down versus just like playing an enemy card. So we'll see. Hopefully we get some of those ships in the game. So let's move on. I'm gonna pick Chewbacca. We got another Chewbacca. So this is our fourth Chewbacca. So we have leader, and then two Chewbacca units, and now this is our third Chewbacca unit. And he is definitely he's the faithful first mate. This unit, so his text is this unit cannot be defeated or returned to hand by any enemy card abilities. Now, they did not clarify um with this, right? So I'm assuming the top part is what it is for him. He's a 5 cost that comes out to play that way. If you bring him out as a pilot, though, he only costs 3 resources to bring out.
Yeah.
Now he's only a 3/3, but he only costs 3 resources. And he then attached unit gains. This unit cannot be defeated or returned to hand by an enemy card ability. This card right here, this card is amazing for heroic. Like you can no longer you play enemy card abilities. You have to just aggro it down. That's the only way to get rid of it, or to do even like you can't even make an opening some of these things anymore, right? Chewbacca will be so far. Chewbacca will be hands down the most played heroic card of the set so far that we've seen. Like that's nuts. Like he just attaches to something and you can't kill it without just attacking it.
Yep.
I don't know.
He is a TIE Phantom now. Yeah, definitely really strong. I like the effect that you can play this on a vehicle unit, and now that vehicle unit essentially prevented from being returned to the hand from your opponent's hand. So that's something that's could make certain vehicles very strong. I think, especially like capital ships. That is something that's gonna definitely see some play for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and just like he's a 3 cost. So like you have to think in your head now, piloting the math for all of this. And this is where I wish Alex was here, because Alex will tell you the math is like going to be crazy now, because you're going to have to like now think about, well, if I attach a pilot to something, what does it do? Like what can this card come out as a pilot? Personally, my belief is that if you're building, like we will only see Chewbacca come out as a pilot for the most part. Like that's what we're
Yeah.
going to see him mainly.
So I do have a question, right? So if you do
Yeah.
play this as a regular ground unit, does this count as a unit for Boba Fett, the green Boba Fett leader unit, to take advantage
Yeah.
of in terms of giving it?
Yes. And my
Okay,
they haven't clarified that, but I believe yes.
nice. Yeah,
But
just another keyword. Yeah,
I don't know. Like again, that's something Alex and I actually talked a little bit about. Um so we don't know, like again, I don't know for sure. But we believe yes, because it's a keyword. So we believe that you'll be able to utilize it. So you'll be able to play that, attach it to a vehicle, give something a +1. You'll be able to play it as a unit, give it the same thing. Like I don't think that box is going to be considered blank when it's not being attached to something. So
nice.
that's my personal belief. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have a new Boba. Yeah, Boba Set 2 leader is gonna go crazy with this piloting thing.
Oh
Like
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's take a look at Bosk. He's our next ground unit that was revealed here. So he's a yellow and villainy aspect card that comes in at 4 cost. He has, as a regular ground unit, he's a 4/4, which I believe is the same as his other, if I'm
he's
not
a four
mistaken.
five, four
Oh,
five.
he's a 4/5. You're right, right.
Yep.
And he reads on attack, exhausted defender and deal 1 damage to it if it's a unit. And then it comes with piloting, which you can deploy it at a 2 cost, which is crazy. And it reads attach unit gains on attack, exhaust the defender, and deal 1 damage to it if it's a unit, and it gives it a +2/+2. So a 2-point attachment to a vehicle unit that allows you to exhaust the unit and deal damage to it is pretty damn strong. I mean, I could think already some of the yellow scarif the little speeder things that you can equip on early on and start exhausting units early with Bosk. I think that's a really strong play early on that you could do that. You can also do that in some of the escort skiffs as well. Those are the green vehicles that you can deploy for a green aspect. Those are definitely cheap enough for you to deploy and put Bosk on the same turn. That's definitely something that's going to be pretty nice to see for Bosk.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, the next one we have is called No Disintegrations, and this is not characteristic. Like this is a red card that is almost like a murder spell, right? And it's a 3 cost, yeah, a red, black, and it is deal damage to a non-leader unit equal to 1 less than its remaining health. So it's almost the power of the dark side, kind of, or like an extreme open fire. It will have. I don't I don't think I think it's good that red gets some of these, but at the same token, like, can I just play open fire and kill a unit instead? Yeah, probably. Um, I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's good. Um, and it opens up some potential, but I don't know. It's nice to see a new a red get a card that red doesn't typically get. So yeah, Vader will love this card. That's very true. Vader will love this card.
Actually gonna say as well, Cad Bane, like a red Cad Bane deck would also like to see this card as well because you can essentially play this out there and then deploy an underworld unit and deal that remaining damage out to them. Same thing with like if you have Proxima out there, just being able to deal additional damage as well. That's just extra ways for you to just get out extra damage out there. Still, I do agree with you. I think that open fire, or even some of the force throws and force chokes and stuff like that, probably better cards for red overall. But it might see some use.
We'll see. All right, let's move on to the next one. What do we got next, JJ?
So we'll go with Tandem Assault. So this is the 1 cost green aspect tactic card, and it says attack with a space unit. If you do attack with a ground unit that is and that ground unit gets +2 for this attack on there. Could see some play there, especially if you have particular units that allow you to have several things out on the board. I would actually use this a lot in a oh my gosh, his name escapes me. Nuke gun raid decks. Because you can easily deploy cheap units both in space on the ground, and especially when you're attacking with those token units, those droid token units, you can now make it essentially a 3-1 with this particular card, and attacking with 2 different units. So it does have some use on there for those decks that can easily deploy multiple units at once. But beyond that, it's a very niche type of card. It's not going to see play all around. You're just going to see in specific decks.
Fair enough. The next one I'm super excited about because we had
Yeah.
these in X-Wing and we used to be able to run triple aggressors. And I love that. That was one of my favorite lists. Even though it wasn't super amazing, but it was super fun to fly. Like, oh, those ships
Yeah.
look so cool. So,
Yeah.
so we have a 4-cost red only space unit hunting aggressor, and it is an underworld. So we got our underworld keyword. That's pretty cool. Vehicle transport. And basically, it is a 3/6, and it says indirect damage you deal to opponents is increased by 1. So if you're building around a deck that can deal a bunch of indirect damage, this ship's for you. That's going to be me. In my Ewok deck, maybe I'll get an Ewok pilot that can fly an aggressor. That would be super crazy.
Yeah, I would love to see an IG pilot that gets like a bonus from flying this particular vehicle just to make it thematic. But I think this gets stapled onto the new red boba for sure because you now up his indirect fire by 2 or up to
By
2
1.
damage now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Like it. Think it's pretty cool ship. What's our next one, JJ?
So we got the 2-cost Zygerian Starhopper. This is the second version of the Starhopper that we've seen now since set 2. So this one is going to be a yellow and black aspect card, and it's a 2 attack, 3 in defense, or 3 health card with Underworld Vehicle and Fighter. And it reads, when defeated, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. And that's it. It's nice to see another when defeated type vehicle. Definitely is going to see some play, especially for cards that or decks that like to sacrifice units. Like if you put this in an Asajj deck, for instance, you know that this ship is going to die, and you want to deal some indirect damage to another unit that can go through a shield. This card is definitely something to consider, or even in some of the separatist decks where you're going to exploit something in, you can definitely consider putting this card in because you're dealing indirect damage and sacrificing and using it in the process to bring out something stronger. So this is definitely going to see some play, especially in those separatist decks.
And Django. I don't like just
And
it's
Django,
Django.
yeah.
Like my belief is doesn't matter what type of damage it is, you assigned it came from a card. Therefore, you're getting exhausted. Crazy,
Oh yeah.
right? All right. The next one we have is Never Tell Me the Odds, which I think we already have one of those cards, don't we? We already have one.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Don't Get Cocky? Maybe that's what
Yeah. But it's
it,
also the subtext for Han, but yeah. Yeah.
it is a Gambit card. It is a heroic yellow 3 costs, and it says discard 3 cards from an opponent's deck and 3 cards from your deck, and then deal damage to a unit equal to the number of cards with an odd cost discarded this way. So in the Han deck that we just talked about,
Yes.
this card is a staple, right? Like this card, everything in that deck is going to be, like off or odd number, right? So you're guaranteed 3 damage with this, no matter what. And then I believe I believe we did some calculations. My belief is that you're going to get at least 1.5 more damage on average every time you play this card. So this card is worth a 3 cost, 4.5 cost, damage card if you're playing this in Han. So crazy. I like this card. Like it makes me want to play Han, personally, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. It's burn damage, and it's helping you mill their deck.
Yeah. Do you think this would be a good pairing too with like Spark of the Rebellion?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you play Spark of the Rebellion, strip their hand down, then play this. I don't know. You know what? This would be good if this was just a neutral color. I'd put this in Thrawn all day long. Like, I know what you got. Oh, you?
Yeah, for real.
It'd be like, oh, you have this and that, and it's like, oh, I have a Snoke. I don't want to lose my Snoke.
Yeah,
I love it
for real. All right, so the next one up here is the 3-cost Death Space Skirmisher with a yellow aspect, single yellow aspect. Comes in with 3 attack and 3 health with Underworld Vehicle and Fighter. And it reads, when played, if you control another space unit, you may exhaust a unit. So definitely really good for like Cad Bane decks. Really interesting to see more like exhausting type effects for more space units out there. Beyond what is it, the Seek card that we have for yellow currently right now, and with Underworld, it's another great card to add into like a Cad Bane deck there, or even a Hondo deck, just to have that a little extra control. So yeah,
Thrawn.
Oh yeah, Thrawn. Oh yeah, Thrawn. Oh my god, I didn't even think of Thrawn.
Sorry,
Damn it! Now I'm gonna have to go back to Thrawn.
I've been playing a lot of Thrawn lately, just so you know, like a lot of Thrawn.
Yeah.
I like this card. Again, it's it's cool. It's gonna be it's gonna be a little bit more niche. You're not gonna play this in everything, but I think like this fits into a Django deck, right? Pretty easily. I mean, you're not losing any health or damage with this card. Like it having that extra ability to exhaust something. Like we have the Cartel Spacer, right? And that's a 2 cost. But you have to have another yellow unit out to be able to exhaust. This one just costs 1 more, and I can just exhaust something, and I don't lose any damage for it. So to me, it's real. I think this is a really good card. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. It is a villainy only, so you can play this in every villainy deck. We now have a Fetz Fire Spray, a new one. This one doesn't ready though, so I don't see any readying, and I don't see anything with Django Fett on here. So this one just says, when played and on attack. It is a 4-cost 4/4. Deal 1 indirect damage to a player. If you control Boba Fett as a unit, upgrade, or leader, deal 2 indirect damage instead, and then they assign it as, wherever they want, right? Kind of like what indirect damage does. So this is specifically designed, obviously, to work with Boba Fett. Like, this is a Boba Fett. This is, I mean, it comes in his special deck anyway, but it's designed for Boba Fett. So it's cool. We have a new one. I'm
Yeah.
sure people will complain because it's not called Slave One, so I'm sure we'll hear the complaints for it. But this is a black underworld card, by the way, though. So just make sure you all remember
Yeah,
that this is a black underworld vehicle.
yeah, and it's actually really strong, right? Because if you manage to get it out while you have a hunting aggressor out on the board, you're dealing 2 damage from Fett's fire spray, and then Boba Fett deals another 2 damage to you from playing this there. And then you can deploy Boba onto the fire spray and then deal another 4 damage there, and that's before you even start attacking anybody. So there's a lot of great like synergy with the new Boba Fett that's coming out there. Sadly, this does nothing for Django, but still, it can be a fairly strong combo if you're able to get both of those if you can set that up correctly. So yeah.
All right. JJ, what is our last card that we have as a spoiler?
So this one I'm actually a little excited about. So this one is a 3-cost heroic only aspect, Millennium Falcon. And it reads "Get out and push," which is hilarious to me. I like it. So it comes with 3 attack and 4 health with rebel vehicle and transport on it. And it says you may play or deploy 1 additional pilot on this unit, and this unit gets +1 attack for each pilot on it. So naturally, I want to play Han on it along with the green Chewie pilot that's on there, just so he can't get yeeted out.
Yeah.
But it is super, super fun. I love the thematic on it, having 2 pilots on there. Of course, I'm also expecting to see hopefully a new array pilot that we can throw on there as well, just so we can get the sequel trilogy out of the way. But it's going to be really fun to see all the different combinations of pilots they can throw on there, to see how broken you can make the Millennium Falcon. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and think about it this way too. Like I like that it's neutral, so it could go in any hero deck, right? Like, period. Like, it doesn't matter. Um, it might actually even be worth 5 if we get something in villain that can do all these different things, right? Because this unit gets +1 for each pilot on it, so it's basically a 3-cost 5/4 before your pilots are added to it. So it's just crazy, and we might even get some really cheap pilots you can add to things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would foresee we're gonna get some cheap pilots. But yeah, can we get a Ray? Can we get a Leia? Can I just get a Leia? Do I get a Leia and a Lando? Can I have a Leia and a Lando that comes on there? Can I get a smuggle? Can I get a smuggle pilot for Lando? Get me a smuggle Lando pilot. Oh, that would be so exciting.
Yeah, for real, man. It'll be great to see that there as an add-on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last thing that we have is really they're introducing 2 new types of tokens. We're getting TIE fighters and X-Wings. Um, They're 0 cost. They're just essentially the same as the separatist units, but these are all token space units. So I do like this actually, because if I could generate these, it could help it can help you with your space decks, right? It can help you fight against space decks without having specific, like, a bunch of space vehicles in your deck as well. So it's gonna I like this idea. My belief is that they're introducing this as a way to help you um be able to play like a more ground centric deck, and then be able to play your like some units in space to help deal with it. And as always, we have our new experience, and shielding is now coming back, so we now have experience and shield tokens. And what is on that experience token, JJ? What are those ships? Do you know the names of them?
So that is the fireball that's on there, prominently displayed right in front and center, and then the rear ones are the stun fighters that they had from the Star Wars Resistance show. Now, I had like a quick big jolt of excitement because I'm like, yes, we're finally getting the fireball, and then I read experience on the bottom. I'm like, damn it, like, why did you get my hopes up? But yeah, it's really great to see the artwork from like Star Wars Resistance come out there in the new experience cards. And the explosions happening on the Mon Cala capital ship there is pretty cool too, as well as the shield. But yeah, it's great to see the fireball making its debut, even though it's an experience card for Sue.
Okay. So I have a question, and this is going to be, I'm sorry, I have to apologize because this is going to be a little bit of a tangent. Do you think that we're going to get resistance like that? That's kind of
We
like
better.
resistance and FO stuff. Like, because, okay, and I'm just going to state this right now. They don't have this on the big images, right? But Thrawn is a big thing in this one. Um, so my belief was we're going to get commander units, upgrade units for space. Like my belief is we're gonna get like commander units, which you'll be able to help. Maybe we'll get a pilot or like a new Thrawn, or maybe we'll get like some sort of I don't know what's his name. Oh, man, I cannot remember his name from. He wears the white cloak and he fights Thrawn in the Thrawn books for
Oh,
funds.
uh,
This is
oh my
horrible. We are
god.
Star Wars
Yeah,
fans.
no, no.
Alex is not even here, for fuck's sake.
So for a second, my mind got stuck on Commander Pyre, and then you said Thrawn and the White Cloak, and I'm like, oh my god, I know who you're talking about. Enoch? No, not Enoch.
No, that's his friend. That would
Yeah,
be
yeah, I
great to
know
get
it's his
him
friend.
too.
But no, I do agree with you. Like, it would be awesome to see like commander units out available on there. I mean, obviously, the one of the biggest ones that we should absolutely see on there has got to be Wedge. We got to see a pilot Poe Dameron on there. Like some of those big pilot names. A Soontir Fel would be amazing for like Empire ships. Like it'll be there's just such a great wealth of very renowned pilots that would make very good options to place onto vehicles on there and make them great. I would love to see even for like underworld characters like a Drea Renthal that boosts the token units for like on your side. Like that would be great to see something very thematic.
Seriously, what is the guy's name? It's Krennic, right?
Under it.
It's Krennic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sorry.
Krennic. Yeah.
Like Krennic is the one. Like it would be sweet to see another like Krennic upgrade. Maybe not like a leader, but like get Krennic on the board so that I don't know, so that we can have Krennic essentially be able to go and command some sort of like Death Star or something. I don't.
Yeah, it would be friggin' amazing for that to happen. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we get some of this stuff. Like I said, I'm very excited for some of the stuff that's coming out. I will say, like, it is a little scary that we have units leaders that are now going to be attached to vehicles. Um, I again, I'm a little concerned in that aspect just because of what can happen to that, right? Like, what can you do? Can you just essentially eliminate your leader? Your leader comes out on 6, and next thing you know, you don't have a leader. And like I said, I've been playing with Chancellor Palpatine and not having that leader recently, and I'm not actually as upset by not having that leader. But at the same token, I have an ability that doesn't go away. So, like, if you play your leader and it's just gone, what do you do? But I guess that's the same as now. Like I played somebody that played a Maul deck today, right, with Palpatine, and I had 2 Power of the Dark Sides, and they played a Maul unit. I powered Dark Sided it, and they brought their Maul out, and then I didn't flip. I'm sorry, I claimed, and then they had their Maul just sitting there. They swung in for 6, and then the next turn I just powered dark sided it and it was just gone. So their mall that they had this didn't do anything. And I'm hoping that this game is going somewhat in that direction, like where we take a little bit of the onus off leaders, because that's what Destiny had, is like everything was on your big unit, right? And you roll your dice on your unit and blah blah blah. And it'd be nice if we were able to have a little bit more balance where we have something that's, again, give me a commander that doesn't, deploy, right? Maybe that deals with space. Give me a Hux, or give me, like a Krennic that does something in space. I don't know. But I will say I'm a little cautious in the aspect that I could just defeat these things pretty easily. And that's part of the control player in me that says that. But we'll see. We'll see. Like, I'm not gonna discount it yet. I am still excited, even at minimum, to see like a new mechanic come into the game, and stuff like that. Now, before we move into the PQ stuff, real quick, they are now calling it, and I couldn't think of the name earlier. They, instead of the 2-player starter sets, they are going to call them spotlight decks, and that's what these 2 leaders are from, is spotlight decks. And they basically told us in their review that they're designed to help you get into the competitive piece a little bit easier. So instead of just having a starter deck that's easy to play to begin with, now they're saying, okay, well, let me give you something that's going to be a little bit more complex, but at the same token, it's going to give you something more competitive. And hence why, like, my belief is that a lot of the cards we're going to see in these spotlight decks are going to be more competitive. Now, we don't know what this means in terms of like rarity type things. Like, are we going to see like a bunch of really cool hyperspace stuff in there? I don't know. Like, are you going to be able to get these same cards in packs? I don't know. My assumption is no, we are going to have to all buy spotlight decks. That's my assumption, is that that's what's going to happen. But we will see for it. It is also of note that the Boba Fett is the 9th card in the set, just so you know. So he is the 9th leader for the villainy aspect. I don't know. We'll see kind of what it is. Like I said, that you could go through this article if you would like, and you could get a little bit more detail that we didn't go over. They also are introducing what's called packs of prestige, which these essentially are very similar to what Magic does, where they're going to be 0 unique cards, but everything will have exclusive like borders and hyperspaces and stuff like that. So what this means is if you're a collector, you're going to have to get these. For those of us who don't care about the fancy looking stuff as much, you don't have to get these. So we'll see. I'm more excited that we have Thrawn physically on the artwork. That's what I'm most excited about, because we're going to get more Thrawn, and you know me, and I love my Thrawn. So, yeah. I even have a Thrawn showcase now, JJ.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great.
All right. So you want to get into some PQ stuff, talk a little bit about what's going on there?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Let's make our trip to Italy.
All right. Welcome back to our Chaos of War segment. This is our discussion. This is the first PQ that we've had for this set. That's an official PQ. They had 127 players, and as JJ said earlier, it was in Spain. I'm guessing the store name is
Italy,
Goblin. Did you say Italy? In Italy, and the store name is probably Goblin, which is weird, but they had 127 players. The best part about this is they actually had a breakdown of like how many people were running each type of deck. So Sabine, there was 25 Sabines out of 126, right? 6
Insane.
Yodas, 1 Wat Tambor, 7 Rays. We then had 1 Quinlan, only 1 Quinlan, which is crazy to me. Quinlan's super, super competitive. They had 4 Kiras, 1 Obi, 2 Mauls, 1 Leia. Look, there's still Leia. And then we had out of the Jangos, they had 1, 2, 12, 13 Jangos. So they had more Sabines than they had Jango Fetts there, which just seems crazy to me. 1 Jabba deck, which I'm happy to see. 2 Idens, 1 Blue Han. And then we had Old Man Han, and I love how they put old Han Solo on there.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite. Suck it, Alex. They had 11 of them. 1 Grand Inquisitor. They had 1 Thrawn, baby. Like somebody was running a Thrawn. Pelps, for Pelps, they had 4, 5, 6, 7 Pelps, 4 Vaders, 1 Dooku, 5 Chancellor Palpatines. They had 5 Cad Banes, 4 Boss.
16.
What's
16 Boss?
Oh, that's Green Boss. Wow, that's unique. We have not seen Green Boss before either. That's kind of crazy. So they have I see, because they're just not running the uh energy lab. That's right. Okay. So then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
actually had 16 boss, um, one Ahsoka and two Asajas and six Anakins.
yeah,
So crazy. So Sabine shows up in color. Bosk is the second highest or the third highest, and Django is the next highest. So like it's Sabine, Bosk, and Django what you're playing against mostly. And it looks like Old Man Han is the next highest one. Yeah,
yeah. It
crazy.
looks like it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely interesting to see like the fallout of the loss of the original Boba Fett. To see like the spread now of where all these other players are going. Definitely still seeing a high concentration of Sabine Wren decks being played there, which is to be expected. Sabine has always been good, and a lot of people find those decks to play a lot easier. But it's nice to see the spread now with all the newer and set two units that are out there, like performing pretty decently so far for the PQ.
yeah. So the winner of the whole tournament was a Cad Bane. Tarkintown beat out a Sabine ECL. We also have Old Man Han green and a Bosk blue. We have Pelp 3 is what they're calling it. I don't know why they call it Pelp 3, but because there's only two
Probably
Pelps. So
I think that's a Chancellor Palpatine, so it's probably set three Palpatine.
okay, that's fair. It is a Chancellor Palpatine, but it's just weird they called it Palpatine 3, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, and then a Rey and two Sabines. So not, I mean, I guess it makes sense since Sabine was the highest taken faction out of all of it. But if you look at their top cut performance, they have out of the top 8, they have 3. Um, so their percentage is should have been a little bit higher, I think, for getting its top cut. But I'm not going to run the numbers on that. We should do that sometime. We should actually resurrect our X-wing Gantt charts that we used to have. But anyway, why don't we get into the winners list? JJ, why don't you go over our winner, Cad Bane Tarkintown?
Yeah, so this Cad Bane Tarkintown list comes with, starting off here, 3 copies of Greedo, 2 copies of Shoot First, 2 Hotshot D44 Blasters, 3 copies of McClunky, 2 Cartel Spacers, 2 No Good To Me Deads, 3 Crafty Smugglers, 2 copies of Bazine, 2 Mercenary Gunships, 3 copies of Boba Fett, 3 Punishing Ones, 3 Now There Are Two, which is a spicy card to add into this particular deck. We got 2 copies of Waylay, 3 Job of the Huts, 3 Forlums, 3 Boss, 3 Zuckuses, 3 Ruthless Raiders, and 3 Cad Banes to round off the list. And then on the sideboard, we have 2 copies of Sneak Attack, 1 additional Bazine, 2 Lurky Tie Phantoms, 2 Black Sun Starfighters, 1 additional copies of Waylay, and 2 Change of Hearts to finish off that sideboard there. Definitely a very, very well rounded list. It almost feels a lot more like an aggressive list, like an aggressive red deck, even though there's only 2 red cards in the main deck there. But you can definitely punch out a lot of really, really good damage on there. Having the great ambush combo with Forlom and Zuckus is really great, as well as Ruthless Raider. Really helps you seal the game mid game there. You have a lot of great effects that help you control the board early on between Bazine, Crafty Smugglers there to be really good early units there that are shielded. I mean, you just have a lot of tools on there. You have a great synergy with Underworld that helps Cad Bane to consistently push out damage out there, and having that extra Cad Bane unit out there for the 7 cost is really, really good. He does quite a bit of damage. Being a 7/7 for 7 is really, so if you're able to get him out there, he can help you close out games really fast. So, really, really strong game. Well played, man. This is a fantastic list.
Yep. The number 2 one is a Sabine ECL list, which is pretty similar to what we've seen. This is still the Dark Saber build, with most notably they have 2 Bright Hopes instead of 3, which is what we had seen people going up to, and 2 Dodanas, which I think is kind of coming back because they haven't left that rebel package, which makes sense. They did drop timely interventions down, and for some reason, everybody likes Ewing reinforcement in the sideboard. I don't understand it in any way, shape, or form at all, but it is there. And can you imagine Ewing reinforcement next set? That's going to be like, we should buy all the stock of those cards.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So in the three rebel assaults, so they opted to go with no medal ceremony, which is fine. I think that's okay. Like, this guarantees you don't have to take that extra action and can just get right down to doing business, which I think is a little bit more prominent because we have seen an uptick in control decks a little bit more than we had been seen. So other than that, I'm not going over the list. We've already done it. The next one I have the Old Man Han Green. Love this. I love Old Man Han so much. This is 3 Greedo, 2 Hot Shot Blaster, 3 Sparks, 2 Cloud Riders, 2 yellow R2D2s, 3 of the Echo Base Defenders, 3 Falcons, 3 DJ, and 3 Techs, going for that DJ Tech combo. 3 Resupplies, 2 Waylays, 3 Bright Hopes, 2 Kiras, 2 of the Time Marauders, 2 Plo Koons, 3 Ewing Reinforcement, and then they have the Emphy's Nest Han Solo in there, and Home One to kind of round out that for the Ewing, for the not the Ewing reinforcement, for the higher drops in there. In their sideboard, they have 2 Traitoresses, 2 of the Ozatucks, 1 extra Waylay, 2 Bamboozled, 2 of the Sandari Peacekeepers, and 1 Change of Heart. Which I like the Change of Heart. I think that's spicy. That's what I've been running in Thrawn on my sideboard. So I really like this deck. It's like they took the brutality of the DJ Tech combo and brought it to Han Green. That's what they did.
Yeah, it's good.
We're gonna have to bring Scanning Officer back. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing Scanning Officer's got to come back now. So
it should have never left, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. That Emphy's Nest is so disgusting to just like, if you can't get her off the board. Ugh. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So the next one here, we got Bosk hanging out at Dagobah. We got
it's because it's the first base and it's the first blue base. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way Bosk would ever go to Dagobah. Nobody went there.
So we got 3 copies of Top Target. We got 2 copies of Entrench, 3 Dr. Pershings, 3 Death Marks, 3 Power of the Dark Sides, 3 copies of the Client, 3 copies of Perilous Position, 3 Open Fires, 3 Merciless Contest, 3 Childsons, 3 copies of Vigilance, 3 Takedowns, 3 copies of Fell the Dragon, 1 copy of Rivals Fall, 3 Super Laser Blast, 3 copies of Palpatine, 2 copies of Supreme Leader Snoke, and 3 copies of Venger, and then lastly 2 copies of the Crate Dragon. And then over in the sideboard, we got 1 additional Crate Dragon, 2 Ruthless Raiders, 2 Bacon Openings, 2 more Imprisonments. We got 2 copies of Force Choke and 1 Restock there for the sideboard on there. This absolutely plays, to me, it feels like a lot more control, right? Because you have a lot of naturally you want to have a lot of bounties available so that way boss can ping damage and gain the benefits from those bounties. That's how he likes to play on there. But you have a lot of different ways to just eliminate units outright. With between takedowns and open fires and Fell the Dragons and Rivals Falls, you're just absolutely just wiping out your opponent's units, just hampering their effects from damaging your base. And until you can bring out the big guns with Palpatine and Snoke and Avenger, those are your finishing pieces out there, along with Crate Dragon, and that allows you to win the games as they make such a huge effect in just controlling the board and just dealing a lot of damage out to your opponent's base out there. So you just have to outlast them a bit until that happens. Definitely a really interesting deck so far. It's very light on units, but it just absolutely just decimates your opponent's side of the board.
Yeah, this this is a control deck, JJ. This is the epitome of a hard control deck.
Yeah, hard control for sure.
Then the big thing that's missing that we had seen a lot of was pillage. There's no pillage in this, not even the sideboard, nothing. Like instead of pillage as a sideboard option, they're putting in imprisonment, which makes sense because they want a higher count for Chilson. And so like in that deck right now, they only have 8, 9, 10, 11 missing or 11 red cards. So out of it, there's 14 total non-blue cards, which makes a lot more sense for Chilson. Like one of the funniest things I've ever seen is I've entrenched a Dr. Pershing before and just entrenched it and just said, all right, figure out how you're going to deal with this. You know, like I'm just going to keep drawing cards, you know? Yeah, it's, if you want to go to time, play this deck. There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say I've been playing my Thrawn against this, and I run restock in my sideboard, and I sided one in, and we got to the very end, and I don't know how the luck of the draw was, but it was the last card in there, so they were milling my deck, and then I was milling theirs, and I got to their end faster and got their restock out, and they couldn't get mine. And then I drew it for my last card and I played it. And the guy was so pissed off. He was so pissed at me.
That's great.
So, all right, let's move on. This is a Pelp 3. There you go. We're going to call him Pelp 3, I guess. We're going to call it, this is a Chancellor deck. This is not what I've been playing, but this deck looks like pretty fun to play too. If you have not had a chance to play this Palpatine, I highly recommend before you go to a PQ that you play against this Palpatine, because there's some easy ways to stop this deck. But I will forewarn you, if you've never played this against this, it's not like you will lose if you're not careful. So let's begin. We have 3 Heroic Sacrifice, 3 Turncoats, 3 Wolfpack Escorts, 3 Force Chokes, 3 of the red or the A-Wings, 2 Cartel Spacers, 3 No Good to Me Deads, 2 Ketsu, 3 Anakins, 2 Red 3, 3 of the Falcons, the 3-cost Falcons, 3 Lurking Ties, 3 Triple Dark Raids, 3 of the Elite Ps, 3 Phase 3 Troopers, 3 of the Geonosian Starfighters, 3 of the Ruthless Raiders, and 2 of whatever that little train. Well, I call it a train tank. That's what that thing looks like the little buggy train tank. Their sideboard is 2 Bazines, 2 Wolves, 2 Confiscates. I don't know what that card is. 2 Chaos of War. Is that what that is? And 2 Waylays.
Yeah, it's the Chaos of War. Yeah,
crazy. So this is a neat deck. If you've never played against, again, I'll tell you to play against it. Like obviously, you start out on your hero side, and you have to defeat a unit. So my assumption is that there's enough hero in this that you don't care if you flip or not. That's my belief. My belief is that the way this deck plays, and I could be wrong, but my belief is the way this deck plays is you don't need to flip at all until you hit your later turns if you don't want to. Because there are a majority of these cards in here are hero, minus the Force Chokes and the Cartel Spacers, and the Lurking TIE Phantoms. And then my belief is that you play Triple Dark Raid, you flip once you have a Triple Dark Raid, so that way you hopefully get your Ruthless Raider in hand, and then you sit on your villain side for a while. And this has to be a very high aggro deck. That's what this has to be. And I don't know why they're running Tarkin Town. I don't know. Like, I guess you have a couple of things that can ping damage, but yeah, this deck's got to be super fast. And like I said, this deck focuses mainly on staying on your hero side until you hit late game, and then it's flipping back to get a couple of villain units, flipping back to get your hero stuff, and then ending the game with your tank. I don't know, JG, what do you think?
I like this a lot.
Have you played?
I like this a lot, actually.
Played anything like
I've
this?
I've not played anything like this at all. Just at first glance, like I honestly wouldn't believe like that particular way of tactics, but as you're explaining it, I'm like, wow, that actually makes sense, right? You have a lot of cheaper light side units on there that you would just keep Chancellor Palpatine out there for a while, and then just flip it over to dark side when you're ready to deploy your heavier dark side units out there, and just take advantage of that. I do like having Tarkin down there just to help you deal with some aggro decks in case they start overwhelming you early on. That 3 damage there can be critical to take out a key unit out there. That's like that could potentially just end the game too early for you. So it's nice having that little backup there. But yeah, this is definitely a very solid deck. Definitely much more space heavy than I would actually like that I would expect for a Chancellor Palpatine deck. It's definitely really cool to see this build. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm actually interested in putting this on the table. I kind of want to put this on the table just so I have experience against it. Um, and
yeah.
it's a different take than Django. So I don't know. It's a very interesting and neat deck. All right, JJ, we got Ray. What has Ray got for us today?
Oh man, this is a person after my own heart here. So we got Ray Tarkentown deck here that has so many one-offs. It's hilarious to me. So we got 3 first throws, 2 moisture farmers, 1 top target, 2 daring raids, 3 copies of the restored Arc 170, 2 regional governors, 2 A-wings, 2 Sabine 3 Yodas, 1 Jedi lightsaber, 3 Concord Dawn interceptors, 3 copies of the Village Protectors, 1 tech, 3 perilous positions, 3 Kanan Jarruses, 2 takedowns, 2 K2SOs, 2 Razor Crest, 1 copy of Fel the Dragon, 2 Pose, 2 copies of Obi-Wan Kenobi, 1 Rivals Fall, 3 Luke Skywalkers, and 1 Great Dragon. What a combination, seriously. And then on the sideboard, we got a copy each of Top Target, Regional Governor, Tech, Captain Tycho, Fel the Dragon, and K2SO, and then 2 copies of Disabling Fang Fighters, which I approve, and 2 additional copies of Great Dragon. Yeah, definitely really interesting. They essentially added more types of cards into the deck just to give them a little more flexibility, just depending on what they're facing out there, in exchange for consistency, which is how I tend to play sometimes. But nonetheless, it's definitely very interesting for a raid deck to have this type of composition. Obviously, you have your staples on here with Moisture Farmer and the Village People on there for a raid to consistently buff out there and allow you to essentially stall until you can bring out your bigger heavy hitters there with like Poe, Luke, and the Great Dragon. So it's a definitely an interesting deck for sure. I am interested to see how this plays. So I'm definitely gonna have to steal this and try to play this out.
Yeah, if you look at all these other decks, right? Every other deck, the consistency is crazy, right? So this is 6 times 4 is 24, right? Your
Mhm.
average is 18 to 19 card types. Like really, this is an 18. This one doesn't have. This one's a little bit more. Yeah, 18. Like most of the decks we see flying have 18 specifically, and this one has 24 types of cards. So like I don't know, like you know what? I don't like this. So I can't play this. I don't understand how you would play this. I do like the I will say I do like the upgrade like pieces to it, right? Because
Yeah,
you have the ability to bring back the lightsaber if it gets discarded for some reason, or those perilous positions are really good to be able to bring back with that Razor Crest. Um, so like I do like that, and I like the fact that they're not running pillage because I absolutely hate playing against pillage decks. Like, they are not fun at
yeah.
all. Um, I don't know. This deck is not for me. I don't understand how they win their top end. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see somebody play this, but I mean, they got the top eight
Yeah,
in 127 person tournament. So, I mean, we've talked about this, right? Um, right. I don't think we've talked about having bigger than 50 card decks before, right? And is that a viable thing? And we've always kind of dumped on people that don't have like consistency, like JJ, and like why they don't win things. But like, here's a guy that went top 8 with a very inconsistent type deck and did very well with it. So I think it's got to be something that we sit down and talk about. Like, I do think that going into the future, especially as we get more sets, my guess is by next year we won't get rotation. Like by the time we hit set 6 in November, I don't think we're going to see a rotation for at least another year if we get rotation that fast. So I don't know. I don't know. Not my style. I do like the one-off tech. There you go. That's a positive thing I can say about this deck. But
I mean, honestly, if you start like resourcing all your one-offs, right? And then you bring out tech, you can technically now play those one-offs on there for when you need them. So that is a way to kind of get some consistency, and you're
except for he's a one-off
designating.
too. So like
Yeah,
when you
exactly. Except he's a one-off.
so
Exactly.
when you bring out tech, I'm killing him. So like just so you know, if you bring tech out, he's going. I will not let him live. You bring out a
Yeah,
Luke,
exactly.
your Luke can live. I'm gonna kill your tech.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that was all of the decks for this. Here's my picture. This is the guy I played that was super pissed when I brought this out. So
So great.
I actually was not playing. I actually wasn't playing Thrawn. I was playing Palpatine, and it was not supposed to be a mill deck. My Palpatine
That's
blue
great.
is not a mill deck that I'm playing. So, all right. Well, I think we're gonna we'll cut this episode a little bit shorter. We are not talking about X-Wing in this episode, Sherman. So we're gonna wait until Alex comes back. Alex made top 4 at the PAX GT. So when Alex comes back, we'll talk a little bit of X-Wing, but I wanted to make sure that we did that with him since he's the one that made top 4. So and his only it's funny, his only loss for the first day was against Paul Heaver, and then Paul Heaver knocked him out of Top Cut. So, but I do think PAX
Now,
had the largest turnout for
yeah,
X-Wing GTs that we've seen so far.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely it was very, very big, and it's great to see the game still thrive even in a post AMG world now. I do want to make a shout out though to a friend of the podcast, Mr. Harry Nick. He recently finally put out his online store that he's been talking about for a while. It's called geekybits.au. And if you have the chance, check it out. He has made some fantastic tokens that he's working on. He has it for both Star Wars Unlimited tokens there to keep track of like damage markers and such. And he also has a great store for X-Wing as well. He's created some awesome acrylic stuff for bases, for templates and tokens and such. Definitely check it out. Again, that's geekybits.au. Check out his store there. Big shout out to Harry Nick for championing a lot of the unique tokens that we currently don't see anywhere else, and just glad to see that he's put in all that hard work. So yeah,
So yep, yeah, it's kind of one of those things like he is still supporting X-Wing too, so it's not just SWU stuff, right? Though
yeah,
there will be some things in here. I have never ordered from him, but we had Nick on the show a month and a half ago.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so if you want, we'll put the link in the description. I would highly support you or suggest you check him out. Like I said, they have a lot of cool stuff in here that he's brought about, and it's nice to kind of see him doing some other stuff. He's gonna be doing stuff for the swoop community now. So it'll be kind of nice to see. And he's got unique designs, so I don't know, it's not the page isn't loading. There it goes. He's got some pretty unique designs in here that are different than what you see, and they're relatively cheap compared to some of the stuff that we've seen before. I like the strain with the -1 on it. That's my favorite. So,
Yeah, that's great.
but anyway, with that being said, we will wrap up. Hopefully, they don't give us a bunch of spoilers. I would prefer them to hold spoilers until like mid-January at least, like before we start getting a bunch of stuff. because I would still like to focus on this set because this is so far has been my favorite set to draft with and one of my
Yeah.
favorite sets to play with. Though I got my butt handed to me in draft the other week. So yeah, I didn't do very well in draft. I did do very well in sealed, but just not into draft. So um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. Next week we'll have a couple more lists that maybe we've been playing around with, things that are a little bit different than what we had before. And then of course hopefully we'll have Alex back next week to chat with us as well. So
Yeah.
all right. With that being said, thank you all for checking us out. You can like, subscribe on the YouTube. You can hit us up on Podbean. We have been taking our episode and breaking it apart on YouTube. Um, whereas if you would like to listen to the audio form of this, we have our Podbean up that has the link to go to all the podcast catchers, and you're welcome to just like that's the easiest way to hear the episode in full, without having to like backpedal or find all the different videos. So that being said, thank you. Have a good night, and we will see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good week, everybody.